and the 26th of February. That's how it works. Yeah. So we're starting a new topic. The new topic is on Derech Mitzvosecha, Mitzvah's Korban Pesach. The mitzvah of bringing the Paschal lamb, the Paschal sacrifice. And it's on page 76, folio 76, side A. I translated it, but I don't have the translation here, so unfortunately, so I'll just have to retranslate as we go along. And I'll post the translation on the description of the YouTube video. Okay, let's start. So, Nishchot Korban Pesach ben Arbaim. So in this mitzvah, there's actually three mitzvahs that he's going to explain. And now we decided to follow the order of the mitzvahs in the Torah, which is the order of the chinuch, of Sefer HaChinuch. Here, I don't know what the reason is that it's not in order. The first two are in order, the first three are in order. Then we had to skip, from Gida Nasha, we had to skip to Kiddush HaChodesh, which is the fourth. And then, suddenly between Kiddush HaChodesh and Korban Pesach, there's Chanukah. I don't know why. But again, we had to skip a lot, tremendous amount, to get to there. And now we have the fifth, sixth, and seventh mitzvahs in the Torah. And what are they? So, first of all, Lishchot Korban Pesach ben Arbaim, that's the fifth. To slaughter it in the afternoon of the 14th day of Nissan. Le'echol oto belel tetvav b'Nisan tzli esh, to eat it as a roasted on a fire, on the evening, meaning the night of the 15th of Nissan. That's the night that's before the day, following the shechting on the 14th. That's the sixth mitzvah. Shelo le'echol oto na'um vushal. And then there's a lo ta'aseh here, there's a prohibition not to eat it not cooked or cooked in water.
Yeah,
right. Okay. So it has to be roasted. It has to be over an open flame. In practice, it wasn't done over an open flame. It was done with coals. They used to put it they wrapped it up and they put it on a skewer, and
like
inside a they made a sort of oven made out of clay, and they put it inside, and the hot coals inside. Now there's something very important about the way that it was skewered, the way it was roasted, that it was done with the head and the feet on the body of it, meaning it was folded over, right? It was done like folded over. It's not stretched out.
They entrailed it?
You entrail it. And then
cooked it whole with the head?
Yeah, with the head, with everything. Yeah, of course. Okay, so that's the way in which I translated it, but I forgot the translation probably in the car. I don't know where it is. So tomorrow. Okay, I just wanted to move quickly and just read this, because this is a lot of reading in the beginning. Like with every mitzvah, he's going to give us a lot of background, and then he's going to get into it. V'shorish ha-mitzvah katuv, Katav Ta'amei HaMitzvot Rav Chaim Vital, the root of this mitzvah, meaning the reasons behind it. Rav Chaim Vital wrote this in Ta'amei Mitzvot. There's a book called Ta'amei Mitzvot in Parshat Bo. V'zeh leshonon. This is what he writes. K'var v'da'aticha ki b'yitziat Mitzrayim haya za gimel go gimel, tlat go tlat. I already told you somewhere, I guess when they came down to Egypt, that when they came out of Egypt, za, which is the lower persona of godliness, it starts from Tiferet and it develops into an entire persona, into an entire partzuf called the small countenance, Za. But we're going to call it Za all the time. We're not going to keep translating it now, because we're beyond that. So we can call it Za and Nukva, and we know what we're talking about. So Za was 3 over 3, or 3 within 3. What does that mean? That, we'll see in a moment, that it's the same shape as how they roasted the Paschal lamb. That the head and the arms were folded over into the body, and this is actually the fetal state.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. It was a fetal state. Right? So we'll get to this. Within the womb, the stomach, the belly of the supernal mother. And as explained elsewhere. ואומנם כבר נודע מה שכתוב בגמרא, and it's well known what it says in the Gemara at the very, very end not the end, at the end of chapter 3 of Nida, Hatinok is 30b, Hatinok bimei imo rosho ben birkav, that when the child is in its mother's womb, its head is between its knees. So it's folded over. That's exactly why we call it the fetal position. And that's why they roasted it with the head and the forelegs over the body, right, like that. And this is in order to symbolize the fact that Zah was also folded over in the same way. Like Zah was in a fetal state. So what does it mean? That it's not developed yet. So this is going to be a lot of developmental Kabbalah, like everything about the development of Zah. And today, what we mean by this is a great secret, and we'll get into that secret as we go on. And what does he mean? He means to say, that with the Paschal lamb, what we do is we commemorate the great goodness, the great kindness that was done in the salvation from Egypt, the redemption from Egypt. Shehu inyan leidat Zah. And it's very interesting that we suffered all that just for Zah to be born, just for the small countenance to be born. Now this is something that appears in Kabbalah many times, and this is, we suffered the whole exile in Egypt in order for Zah to come out, to be born.
It's like yes.
So the way we usually say it, we say that the nation was born. Yes. But in Kabbalah, we don't say the nation was born. That's also true. We say, what is the nation? Is the nation the sum of individuals who are limited in their time span on earth? Or is the nation something else?
The eternal?
Right, the eternal part of the nation. So what's the eternal? So the eternal part of the nation here is called Zah. And after that, he was given great mind. Mochin the godless. Godless means great, meaning high-mindedness. And his mind begins to develop. So when the child comes out of the womb, it doesn't have mind yet. It doesn't have any understanding yet. It's very full of potential, but it hasn't encountered reality yet. Once it begins to encounter reality, it begins to receive what we call great-mindedness. Okay? As was explained in the mitzvah of matzah. And the mitzvah of matzah actually is earlier. I don't remember where it is, but it's somewhere here earlier, I think. Or maybe not. I think it's earlier. I remember that it's earlier. Let me just see. He says Kmo Shekatuv, so I didn't have time to check, but I'm almost sure that it is earlier. Where is it? Mitzvat Matzah. Yeah. It's in it's after Tefillin right away. Kaf Bet. Mitzvat Hashbatat Chametz v'Achilat Matzah. So he explained it there. The matzah gives the great-mindedness, and that's the matzah. The matzah that we ate with the Paschal lamb, that gives the great-mindedness. That opens the mind up. What's that like? Like we say, the ena tinok yodea likro abba ad shetoem tam dagan. That the sages say the child cannot call his father, meaning he doesn't have language. Can't articulate. He doesn't have language. That's the main thing. He doesn't have words until he starts eating some kind of grain. Tam dagan. And the type of grain that we eat, the simplest type of grain, is the matzah that we eat on the night of the Seder. Sharei tchila begalut haya beibur tlat dichlilan tlat. Because in the beginning he was in a state that we call the fetal state. Beibur, he's enwombed, he's inside the womb. And there he's 3 within 3. When he's 3 within 3, the main thing that's within is the mind. The mind is not exposed. The mind is like folded over into the lower parts of the body. So when the mind is in such a state, it obviously cannot develop. The whole point of development is that you open up. ובזה הובן גם כן מה שאנו אומרים בהגדה ועדים היינו לפרעה במצרים כדי פירש במשנת חסידים. And now we can also understand how the Haggadah starts. The Haggadah starts with the passage that we read from the Torah. Avadim hayinu leParo b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. And Mishnas Chasidim. Immanuel Chayriki was the greatest Kabbalist of his time, the greatest, actually, the Baal Nigla, also the biggest posek in that time. He was the leader of his generation, late early 17th century in Italy. How do we understand this? Anu bnei Zah, avadim ainu. We were. Who's the we? The we, the children of Zah. Haomed beibur bebeten hameleah, which is standing. Which not standing here doesn't mean he's standing. It means he's in a state of being in the womb of the mother. Bebeten hameleah bina, in the full womb of Bina, of the mother. Hayinu avadim leparo, we were slaves to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh omed ba'orif arich anpin. He stands, we already talked about Pharaoh. He's the backside of arich. Arich in the crown extends down, so we have to end here, and tomorrow we'll continue.
Why did you mention Ricky? Why did you mention now? You mentioned Ricky.
Immanuel Chayriki, Mishnat Chassidim. He wrote Mishnat Chassidim.